Thank you so much for joining me today. I have known you, I guess, for the last 2-3 years now, and I've seen you grow into this incredible young woman who now is a mother, who's a young mogul, and who works so hard to just make sure that women are felt and seen within the Jordan space. So thank you so much for what you do.
Absolutely.
And I just want to, make sure everybody knows this girl is dope. So make sure
I try.
Yes. So All Star Chicago is crazy already with the snow. But tell me a little bit about you growing up here. Obviously, you had a very famous childhood.
Just a little bit.
What was it like for you growing up in Chicago?
Honestly, this city is just a vibe. If you're from here, you know it, you love it, you eat, sleep, breathe it. Okay, look, you're with me already. But it was just fun. I loved growing up here. I remember going to the United States. I remember going to the games. I remember just loving the winters, which is rare because most people don't. Me, if it's snowing, I'm happy as can be. I'm probably building a snowman like Olaf. I'm just happy. So I love it. Chicago's just everything, and the city just breathes love, and you just have to feel the vibe and go with it.
I love it. And so obviously, your dad is Michael Jordan. And growing up, I'm sure that was a lot to process. As a child, you don't get to choose who your parents are, and you happen to have been given to the most famous basketball player in the world. So how did you deal with that as a person growing up who just wanted to, a lot of times you just want to fit in school. Right. Ain't no way to fit in when your dad's Michael Jordan. So how did you deal with that, and how did it shape who you are today?
A lot of it really was just because of my mom and my dad. They made sure we had a well-rounded upbringing. We were very humble. We've seen the Highland Park suburbs. We've seen the 115th, Wild Hunters and everything. And they made sure me and my brothers knew everything. We weren't just sheltered, we were exposed, so that way we wouldn't feel different. Even though everyone felt like, oh, your father is who he is. You can't relate. No, we're very similar. He has a 9 to 5, and it's just not the same 9 to 5. It's just a job. And at no point did I realize, oh man, my dad's MJ. It took me probably until 10, 11 years old until I finally was like, hey, why is everybody so hype about who my father is? And I literally Googled him. And that's when I started seeing oh, this is who you are to the people versus just dad to me. So going through that and now seeing him from the lens of a fan made me understand, okay, I see the differences between me and you and anybody else, but for me, I view myself just like everyone else. I'm no different.
That's fire. Can we talk about that? She was like, I had to Google my dad.
No,
Wow.
Really.
That's insane. I've always wanted to ask you a question, just as a fan. Space Jam. Felt away when the daughter was super light. But what did you feel about her? Because I was jealous of her, and I was like, who is that? And that's not Jasmine. And I didn't even know you then. And I was like, that's not his real kids. His real kids could have been it. How did you feel?
No. She did a wonderful job portraying me. Killed it at the end of the day. I mean, Space Jam is such an iconic movie. To this day, I haven't seen it all the way through. Because when I was younger, and that part when he stretched his arm, at that age I thought it was real.
No, that is scary.
And I'm watching it, and he's like, yeah, pull my arm, babe, pull it. I'm like, no, we're not doing this. I bust out in tears, crying, ran out. So I'm 27, and every time that arm part comes up, I'm like, we're just gonna change the channel right now. I don't think we're gonna watch it, but no. Penny did a great job representing me and our family, and I love her.
Yeah, she did do a good job. Once I got past my pettiness, she did do a good job.
For sure.
And were you ever on the set then? Did you ever get a chance to go see what it was really like, or?
I did. I don't remember it that much, but I know that it scared me being on set, seeing the guys in the green suits, obviously playing them on stars and the computerization of everything, but just to see him in a different element was exciting. So it was definitely an experience from what I do remember.
Yes. And so fast forward to today, you're a 27-year-old young mogul, you're out here creating your own lane. So tell me a little bit about what it is on day-to-day for what it's like for you. What do you do day-to-day? I know we all have so many hyphens, but what does a day look like for you now?
I mean, busy, for sure. Even pre-baby, I was always busy. With Jordan Brand, I work in sports marketing as an athlete representative. I'm based in North Carolina, so I handle a lot of the guys in the Southeast Division within the Hornets, and then with the Wizards, with Luvvie Ajayi, and all of our women's that we signed as well, from Maya Moore to Kia Nurse, Asia Durr. So I'm glued to my laptop, constantly emails, conference calls, everything, like busy. And then you throw a baby into the mix and it's just nonstop chaos. But he keeps me going. He's my good break. He's a breath of fresh air. When I'm like frustrated, I just hear him laughing in his play area or whatever. I'm like, no, I need a break. Let me go ahead. But we're up at 7. We're in bed by 9, hopefully. I'm an early bird. I'm dusty. I can't stay up late.
First of all,
I need my sleep.
you're not dusty. I will not allow you to say you're dusty. But so with the player work, you help them kind of shape their brand within Jordan and the women as well.
Absolutely. I'm like their liaison essentially. So when we have to do photo shoots or appearances or working on their footwear, colorways, and PEs, I help communicate their desires and what they would like and how they want to tell their stories to their fans and communicate and connect with the brand. So that way, no matter what, we're telling their authentic selves, but they're also making sure that we're representing them well. So it's a two-way street and making sure that athletes are happy with us and we're happy with them. But it's a beautiful partnership. I love every athlete we have on brand and working with them, and it's like a family.
Yes.
You know, it takes the little business side out of it and just makes you feel comfortable and at home.
Absolutely. And with Jordan Women's, I remember when we met, it was like 2 years ago when we were doing the spring collection. And seeing Maya there, she was just so comfortable. And I think Jordan does a really good job of making their athletes feel like your voice matters here. But with women, it's always been a battle within these spaces of sports, especially NBA, and then athleisure, sneaker culture. It's been different for us. We usually have to be like, I mean, that's fire, but they probably won't have my size. So
Right.
It's gonna be sold out. Like, it was just for the men's release.
Sure.
But I think Jordan Women's has done a really good job of creating a lane. So tell me a little bit about why Jordan Women's. What is it about this movement that you are so drawn to? And what do you want it to say to other women?
You know, it's all about timing. I mean, we did a women's line years ago when I was a child, honestly, and I used to think I was a designer. I was sending out little sketches. They made little one-offs, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm doing it. They weren't cute. It's okay. We left it back for a reason. But, like, timing is everything. We took our time. Jordan definitely took the time to build the right team and wanted to make sure we connected with our audience. You know, there's not one Jordan woman, there's not one Jordan girl. We're connecting with different facets of women and anybody and everybody. You can wear a sneaker, and you can wear an OG, and you can wear whatever else we create. You know, there's no limits on that Jordan girl or that Jordan representative. So for us, when we really wanted to bring it back, we had to make sure, like I said, we had the right team in place so that way we were listening to our audience, listening to our consumer, and not just putting things out there because it's on trend or following everyone else's footsteps. Like, it doesn't work like that. And it's not true to who we are or our brand and what we want to represent. So a lot of research went into it, making sure we were connecting with the consumer, getting all our demographic details, and just research. And now is the perfect time because there's women, female force, and we're feeling it. We're feeling it. So we just fell into place.
I love it. And so now the capsule is available, so people can support. What do you want the women to feel like when they put on these clothes? What do you hope women feel like when they wear the bodysuit and the sweatpants? And I mean, Tiana Taylor makes it really hard to wear. It's like really
those abs. I mean, if they came with a jumpsuit, I'd probably get it.
That's what I was hoping. I was like, maybe if I zip it up, and it didn't happen for me.
No.
But it's still a great bodysuit.
Absolutely.
Tell me what you want the women to feel like when they put it on.
I just want women to feel comfortable. You should feel powerful. You shouldn't feel like I can't wear leggings or a bodysuit outside of a gym. Like, you know, back in the day, we wouldn't wear our workout clothes outside, and now you can go to the club in sweats and, you know, a crop top, and there it is. You know, it's beautiful and it's exciting. So I want women to feel comfortable in knowing that, hey, you don't have to wear the tightest of the tights or the baggiest of the baggies. It's like, we're going to relate to you and connect to you in any kind of way. It's all about feeling comfortable, feeling powerful, and being able to express yourself through fashion, because that's just another piece of who you are. It's art, and it's about extending yourself and showing off your personality to who may not know you, but may look to you and say, yo, your hat is dope. I love your jacket. Your socks are fire. Like, little things like that, and you can start a conversation. So our pieces are essentially made for that. You know, they're conversation starters. They're an elevation of what we are, and when you're in it, you should feel like, okay, I'm owning it.
Absolutely. I love that. And Maya Angelou, I'm taking a left here because the way that you were talking about like just the line, but Maya Angelou always says that success is liking what you do and liking how you do it. Do you define yourself as successful yet? And if not, what is it going to take for you to define that for yourself?
You know, I'm getting there. I'm very close. I love what I do work-wise. I love being a mother. And I think as I continue to develop as a mom, as a woman, as a businesswoman, then that success will increase. There is no limit. You know, I'm not going to say 5 years from now I'm going to get it. 10 years from now I'm going to hit it. Like, there's no timetable. And so I'm definitely successful today. I'm loving it. And as I continue to develop my mothering skills and continue to develop my mental and my spiritual relationship and things of that nature, I'll continue to be successful.
Man, shout out to your parents. They did a good job.
They did. Absolutely.
If I was you, I would be like, don't speak to me. Sorry, who's your dad?
No.
But that's why I have two humble, beautiful, incredible parents as well. But no, they did a really good job. And okay, so those talks with, my favorite part about being a journalist is that my dad is also a journalist. And so I'll call him on days where like the newsroom was horrible or there was a horrible story or a day like unfortunately last month when Kobe passed, where it's just like you can't believe that this is the time, but you're able to like speak and you have someone there who understands the journey. Within working within the company now, do you have those talks with your dad when things get really hard and how are those conversations? What advice does he give you to kind of stay on the path?
No, for sure. I think I probably harass my dad for a deep convo every other day. Like he's probably sick of me. Even this morning, I'm like, "Hey, Dad, I gotta go to this event. I need drop some gems."
Wait, you told him he was getting in?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
No,
No, I definitely did. And with him, everything is just about being authentic and genuine and be real. You know, he says you can never be nervous if you're just being yourself, if you're telling your story. You know, no one can tell you what to do. No one can tell you who you are. So that is what you own and that's your truth and that's what you have to represent. So even with work, I always make sure like, okay, if I'm going to do a project or if I'm going to be in a meeting with an athlete, okay, I'm going to make sure I have my right mindset. I know what I'm doing. I'm comfortable. I'm going to own it. You got to have that positive vibe and knowing that no matter what, I'm going to leave this meeting or leave this project and leave this event knowing that, hey, I was myself. I gave 100%. You're happy. Great. And if you're not, there's nothing I can do about it. Right. As long as my spirit's good and I knew I did everything I could do, then that's all that matters. So with him, he definitely drops a lot of gems on me often, but being true to myself and just knowing that no one can take that from you, no one can be you, and that's your strength and that's your power, it gets me through almost anything.
That's really good advice. Yeah. And I think even with the growth of social media and how important it is to everybody's lives now, it's one of those things where you almost have to tell yourself every day, like, it's okay to be you. Absolutely. Like, you don't gotta use 27 filters. You can just post them. You know, like, you legit, just post it and go. And I think as crazy as that does sound, with the impact and legacy that we've seen from so many people who've passed, like Nipsey, like Kobe, their pages are still up. Yeah. And, like, I always think, like, wow, in a way, social media lends to your legacy. Like every day you're creating your legacy. Even if you don't even think about it, the last post could be one of your last things. Like, and it's crazy, but it's true. Right. I mean, so for me, I'm always so intentional now about what I share and what I post because it's just like, oh, this is serious. Yeah. Someone could use this, down the line or right now, but I think it's really important in building legacy. And so as you build your legacy, what are the foundations of what you'd like to put into the culture? What are the biggest things that you'd really like people to know about your story and who you are?
I'm humble. I lead with humility because at the end of the day, my mother and my father made sure that we knew that we weren't the same as everyone else, but that doesn't mean we're above or below. We're same playing field. We wake up the same as everybody. We have the same 24 hours. We put pants on like everybody else. Like there's some differences, but don't ever think you're above anyone. So being humble and knowing where you're from and knowing what made them and that's what made us has always been key. So if anybody's on my social media or just interacts with me, you're going to know that I'm a humble individual and that I'm grateful, I'm blessed. I know that anybody can have this life and do it differently. but I'm gonna do it how I think I need to do it, and making sure that I'm following God's purpose and understanding that it can be taken away from me any moment. On top of being humble, I just want people to know I'm laid back. I'm no different. I keep saying that I'm really not different from anyone else. I'm me. I'm Jasmine. I will never lead and say, hey, I'm Michael Jordan's daughter, Jasmine. No, that's not gonna happen. That's not authentic. I'm always gonna say I'm Jasmine, and if you know who I am, great. If you don't, cool. I'm still gonna be me, and I'm gonna keep it moving. And if you find out later on, that's even better, because then you're gonna realize, hey, I just got to know Jasmine. I didn't even realize the Jordan piece. I didn't even know that was everything, and so on and so forth. So if you have that genuine interaction with me, those are definitely things you're going to realize about me, and we'll be friends.
Yes. Just yes. Okay. I think what's so dope about watching you and even your brothers, you guys are all very close. And I'm really big with my sibling love. And I think it's so dope, honestly, that God chooses 4 or 5 people that you can journey through life with. Tell me about your relationship with your brothers. Like, what is it like? Being in your family environment, and the 3 of you, like, what is it? I know with us, we're super goofy and silly and.
Oh, absolutely. We're a wild group. I'm not gonna lie. But I love my brothers. I'm my brother's keepers. I will do anything and everything for them, and they know it. I'll take a bullet for them no matter what. It's so funny when you interact with them, because Jeffrey is my oldest, and he's like the more logistical and smart and soft-spoken and just laid back of the 3 of us. And then you go to Marcus, and he is our wild child. He is truly one of a kind, and I'm a combination. So I love the fact that I have older brothers. They've been my protectors. They've been my guidance. I've kind of followed in their footsteps, and I know what mistakes they make, and I know what not to do.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, whenever I'm going through stuff or anything like that, I know I can call them. I know that they'll drop gems for me and make sure I understand, like, hey, this is how we get down. I have your back, no matter what. So we're going to continue to grow together, and knowing that it's family over everything.
Family over everything. I think that's a really big gem for people, because it's really easy to get caught up in this industry. No matter what industry you're a part of, there's so many moments, circles, places where you'll feel like, oh, I have to do this to be on or be in a place. Right. And the most inspiring thing to me is getting back on the phone with your family and being like, anyway, what y'all doing?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Just getting away from all of it. And I think
it's downloading.
Exactly. And just having that energy, like, put back into your spirit. I think that when you're with those people, it's just this vibe is incredible. And speaking of energy and protecting your space and your peace, how do you go about doing that? It's a very hard thing to do to ensure that you're always at peace. So when things do get crazy, how do you come back to your center?
Prayer is everything. Prayer is strength. I start my mornings every day with a prayer. Thanking to see the day, thanking to wake up, I'm healthy, my baby's here, my family's good. Okay, let's start the day. So whenever time gets crazy, or I just need to regroup and just have a moment, I'm going to start off with a prayer. And then self-care is key, whether it's just taking a 5-minute break from an email and drinking water.
Yep.
Little things like that, having a snack, like just whatever it is, like, you need to have those moments, and then take it 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, whatever, meditate. Those are my things that I'm just like, okay, those are my moments. I need it. Nobody else needs to know when I'm taking them. If you want to know, great. You want to join me? Awesome. But as long as I can say a prayer, stay hydrated, mind my business, and meditate, I'm good.
Mind my business and meditate. Wow. I know it down. I know you guys are writing it down. You're a real one.
Yes.
Mind my business and meditate. That might need to be the.
We're gonna put it on a t-shirt.
Don't nobody take it.
There
it's
it is.
Be on
there
it
is. There it is.
It's gonna be out in a month. But no, I think that's really important. Like, people. It's just too easy to get caught up. I think social media and the fact that we have access to like thousands of people when you sign on to something really can take you away from your spirit and what you're feeling in that moment. And so I'm so happy that you actually are like, I'm gonna step back.
Yeah.
I need my time.
You got to. You have to, especially in this digital age. Social media is a blessing and a curse at the same time. You either love it or you hate it. There's no denying it, and it's just you can get so consumed and it almost becomes toxic. So you need to have those moments to step away and just be like, you know what, I'm not going to go on the gram. I'm not going to go on Twitter. You know what, I'm going on Pinterest. Pinterest is relaxing. Let me just repost really quickly. Okay, a 5-minute hair mask. Wonderful. I'm going to look into this. That's what I need. That's nice. I can do that. But sometimes you just need to take a break and just know that I'm not gonna clap back at you today. I'm gonna leave you. You got it. That's your 5 minutes. Have it. Well, over here in my mind.
Speak on it. Yeah. And there's how do I even say this? Because so you are also a fiancée.
Yeah.
So shout out to you. I love Black Love. Shout out to Black Love.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Valentine's Day as well.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any special plans?
No, he's currently.
Working.
I know I'm working, booked and busy, but he's hooping right now in Puerto Rico.
Oh.
So he's getting his coins. I'm getting my coins, but we'll FaceTime later and send gifts. If he's watching, you gotta send me a gift. But yeah.
Send me a gift.
Yes.
What was it like when you introduced him to your dad? Because I would have loved to be a fly on the ring.
No, you should have. Because the funny thing is, he was terrified, but my father was more terrified.
Oh,
they were so nervous to meet one another, and it was actually an all-star weekend in Toronto. So,
but I was around.
Yeah, you could have held it out. You would have been a little smooth bump, but no, it was.
And I don't know him.
Right.
But y'all got to meet.
No. So I had to prep him. So before we actually went to where he was, it was at the Jordan brand party and everything like that. I was like, no, it's going to be fine. Like, I already told my dad, you're going to be good. Don't worry about it. So he's like, okay. I turned to grab him, and he's like down 2 shots real quick. I'm like, Rakeem, okay, take it easy. Do you want to grab cake puff? Like, let's take a break.
You need some water?
So I'm bringing him over, and sure enough, he's like taking his time behind me. I look up, and I catch eyes with my dad, and he's like, okay. I'm like, all right, y'all both can't be taking drinks and being nervous. I'm like, I'm the only one that's calm within this. But honestly, once they got into each other's space and met and had a conversation, it was smooth. And to this day, my father would say, like, no, you're not taller than me. I just want you to know, like, I'll run this. Don't get crazy. Yeah. But my father is 6'6" and my fiance is 6'9". So he's going to have to accept that. Yeah. But it was great. It was great.
I'm not telling Michael I'm telling him. He's shorter.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
He's shorter.
He can have it.
He can have that.
He can have that. That's the least I can do.
Yes. And so how has being a fiance and a mother kind of changed or heightened your approach to work and your professional life?
You know, it made me take that self-care more seriously, because leading into it, even before we had a baby, before getting engaged, I was locked into work. Look, as you know, Joe, once I even graduated from college, I had 2 days off, and then I started my first day with the Charlotte Hornets in basketball operations. So I didn't take a break. I don't know what a break looks like. So once we started dating, I'm like, okay, I really have to balance that. I gotta make sure I have time for work, make sure I have time for you, make sure I have time for myself, and it's hard. Because you want to be 100% with everything, but then you don't realize when you're 100% work, 100% love, then you're not 100% yourself. So you have to bring it full circle and make it happen. So juggling that at a young age is not easy, but again, through prayer and just knowing like, hey, you know what you signed up for, I know what I signed up for, we're going to work on this together and we're going to make it work. So then throw in a baby that it doesn't come with a manual, handbook, anything like that. It's like, hey, you're a mom, figure it out. Wow. That was tough in the beginning. And I'm fortunate. I have a healthy, beautiful baby boy, and he's so easy and so calm. But once you added that 4th piece of the pie, it took a toll. And we were just like, okay, here we go again. Let's regroup. What are our priorities? Let's stay on top of it. I'll motivate you, you motivate me, and we're going to make it happen. So it's definitely about balance and just understanding one another, because we continue to evolve as we grow as parents, as we grow as lovers, as we grow as friends. So we have to check in every now and then and just make sure, hey, I may not be the same Jasmine, you may not be the same Rakeem, but we're on the same page, right? Okay, let's have a conversation, let's dive in. What do we need to adjust? So communication is everything, and that's how you end up balancing it all, but it's not easy.
I bet not. And the thing that I love about you is you're only 27, and you're speaking like you've been here. So, I think that's really awesome that you already have that focus and that drive and that integrity for every aspect of your life already.
Sure.
And I know you have a beautiful mother who has been there and championed you your entire life.
Yes.
From watching her and being raised by her, what are the biggest things that you kind of took from her that you do as a mother yourself?
oh, if I could be half the mother that my mom is, man, I'd be the happiest individual. But she's definitely told me that you gotta just learn your child. You know, you can't go into it thinking, well, what my mom did for me, I can do for mine. Because it may not work. It's a different time, you know, everybody's different. You gotta learn your child, but also learn yourself and know these are your practices, this is what you stand for, this is your moral, this is how you want your child to grow up. And my mother made sure that, like I said, we knew we were humble, we knew we were blessed, we knew we were fortunate, and everything along those lines. So knowing the key values that she instilled in me, and starting that off is making sure that I do the same for mine. So knowing that he's always going to be loved, he can live whatever life he wants as long as he's true to himself, and he knows that he is loved, grateful, and a blessing to our family, that's all that matters. So I definitely take that from my mom, and she's allowed me and my brothers to just grow and be our individual selves, judgment-free, and I'm going to make sure my son can be the same.
Ha! Your son gonna be great. I can't wait to see.
I know, I'm biased. He's the best baby ever.
Okay. I can't wait to see all the love that you are speaking about. Just, I'm sure you're pouring it into him, so I can't wait to see how he gives that back to the world. And before I open it up to audience questions, and if anyone has any questions, I expect you to have a question because you've been writing it down.
Look, we're gonna work it out, okay?
I'm speaking to you. Brand building is one of the most difficult tasks anybody can take on, but you do it for other people, you help do it for other people. And so as a person who is behind the scenes and putting these moments together, these movements together, what would you say is the most effective way to communicate a message? And how do you make sure you are being authentic to the person you're trying to communicate for?
That's a heavy one.
I
like it.
It's like brand. That sounds like this just came up. I know that was
I like it though. It's deep. No, it's really just about, like you said, authenticity. You have to know your athletes. You got to know yourself. So when I work with my guys, I want to make sure that no matter what, we're in tune, we're in sync, and just making sure I understand, okay, what are your core values? What do you want people to know about you? And then on the opposite end, what's your biggest fear? What are you worried about people misperceiving or not understanding about you, and how can we navigate that if that were to take place? So it's hard to plan for the unexpected, but if you know your athlete, you know yourself, and you know what you're trying to communicate, then that's the only way you can be authentic, and just knowing that your heart's in a good place. You know, what you're trying to do and the message you're trying to send may not hit everybody, and that's okay, but as long as one person gets it, then you're good. You should accept that. But it's all about knowing yourself and understanding yourself, and just knowing that, again, the power is you. No one can be you. And that's what you believe with. Because if you try and be anybody else, for what? You're a carbon copy. There's enough people in the world, but there's not enough you. Be you. So I stress that for all my guys, because it's just, that's what makes you.
That's good. Wow.
Curveball.
Like literally so good.
I love it.
Fear is such a, it just gets in your soul, even the word, but fear can be so debilitating. And 9 times out of 10, we are our own worst enemies, from the things that we fear in our heads to the things that we say, even that we allow to cross the threshold of our lips about our lives, about our futures, about our dreams. And I know there are probably so many girls who reach out to you and ask, well, how do I get there? How do I do what you're doing? What do I do? There's no blueprint. But what is the biggest piece of advice you would give to any girl who wants to work in sports or as an executive in marketing at a major company about getting to that destination?
It's obvious to not give up, because it's not going to happen today, tomorrow. It may not happen in a month, a year. So you have to just know that when you're committed, give your all, and don't lose hope. But on the opposite end, you want to make sure that you're willing to do anything from what the janitor does all the way up to the executive. For me, I always make sure that no one can say anything was handed to me. Like, my work ethic is A1. And people would counter that. Be like, well, you only work for the Hornets. You only work for your dad's companies. No, my first job was at 15 at Forever 21 as a sales associate.
Say that, and I also was there as well. Not what you did.
I just started off.
It's the worst.
Hello. But, it's just about knowing that everything's not promised. So if you want to go after it, you got to know that you got to work from the ground up. Everything is not going to be handed to you. You got to grind. And your grind is going to be worth it once you do make it to the top. Or whatever the top may be. It may just be a manager role. It may be just sales associate. It's whatever speaks to you and speaks to your soul. But you have to make sure that you're not worried about anybody else and that you're willing to put in all the energy and all the work, because I promise you someone's going to try and outwork you. Someone's going to be like, hey, I'm fine with being a janitor. And when they get the promotion, they'll be excited. Meanwhile, you were too focused on the promotion, not appreciating being a janitor. So you have to know that it's going to take a long time and appreciate the journey and everything that comes with it. But if you're not working hard, you're not going to do it.
Woo! Okay, Ms. Jones. All right, are you ready?
Hello, everybody. Hi to those of us who live here. Welcome to those of us.
Wow, you better
I love it.
My name is Shada Cook. I'm a multimedia journalist around the city. I'm on the internet. I go by Shada Said It.
At Shada Said It. I want to make sure the camera.
Thank you
At
so
Shada
much,
Said It.
for inviting me. Thank you so much for having me. Hi, Jasmine.
Hello.
I have a question for you. I don't like to say favorite, so I will say, what is the dearest Jordan woman's collab to your heart? I know you have the Laylee joints, shout out Chicago. You have the Beasley joints, which are my personal favorite. But what's the dearest collab to your heart that you've worked on and that you've seen?
It's so hard to pick one because our collabs are fire. But no, okay, A1. But I do love the Laylees and Maya's. Just because the ones are somewhat an easy silhouette to work with, and yet she still killed it and it's still unique. I mean, the fur,
It's the
and you can remove it. Come on. You've never seen anything like that. So, Ladies are definitely one of my favorite, and even her silver ones that she did, even leading into it. And then on the back end, having Maya do the 10. A lot of people don't like to touch the 10s because they're not the sexiest, they're a little bulky, they're more basketball and everything like that. But just to put a spin on it and make it funky, it speaks. So those two are definitely my favorite, but it's hard to pick because we just have a lot and more to come.
Well,
So.
thank you so much.
That was a good
question. Love it.
Luvvie.
Hi, my name is Luvvie. I'm a professional troublemaker. My question for you is, what is something that you feel like you had to unlearn to grow?
I had to unlearn to grow. I think I had to unlearn that I can't control how people perceive me. I can't control people's opinions. Because like I said, a lot of people will assume that everything was handed and they don't know my story or anything that I've been through, they don't know my struggle. So once I had to let that go and just know that, hey, I know my truth, and if I can connect to one person, two people, however, great. If I connect to none, I'm okay with that. And it took me a long time to understand that and appreciate that and just know that I'm comfortable with myself. I'm comfortable with Jasmine the individual, Jasmine the mom, and being Jasmine Michael's daughter. And those are three different people, three different hats, and it comes with a lot of pressure, but I know me. I know what I mean, I know my heart, I know my intention, and that's all I can control. So it took a while, definitely to unlearn that.
So good.
Thank you.
Is anyone else? Hi.
Hello, I'm Brittany Applegate. I work in advertising and branding too. Almost actually going right back to work after this. But,
You use your lunch break? Your boss know you?
no, they know I'm here.
Oh, all right. Look, I want you to get fired, nothing like that. Shout out to the boss.
You work together.
Yes,
No, they
appreciate
know.
that.
But my question for you is, you're 27. I feel like, I wouldn't say that you've peaked, but you're really, really high up there. So what would you say is next for you, or the next thing that you really want to tackle professionally?
You know, it's hard to say. It's hard because I'm one of the people, I like to set goals, but I'm not specific with them. So that way I have wiggle room should it not go the path that I wanted to take. And versus understanding the journey is going to be different and just going with the flow and appreciating, hey, I thought it was going to go this way, but God had a different version. I'm going to go with it. I'm going to follow him. I'm going to let him guide me and just take it for what it is. But professionally, as long as I'm able to continue to connect to people, and share stories and share whatever I've been through, my legacy and what I'm trying to build, or my mothering skills and the different facets that make me me, that's a goal. That's a dream. Because at the end of the day, you never know who you can connect to. It took me a while to even deem myself a public figure. I'm like, okay, I'm just Jasmine. I'm not about to make my Instagram like that. Like, it's not that deep, but I realized, you know what, you just never know. And people may want to hear. And somebody may go through the same things, or somebody may not and may need that spark, and I may be able to be that spark. So I don't necessarily have major goals, but I'm going with the flow and enjoying the process and seeing, okay, who can I touch, who can I help, who can I connect with, who wants to be my friend, and just go with it. So we'll see as long as it keeps going and where I end up.
You definitely have like 15 new friends in here today.
Yes.
Those 3 don't count.
I know, not my family, y'all don't count,
That's
but
what
yeah.
And before you go, the last question I want to ask you is, we talked so much today about your journey and things that you're doing, but what do you think your purpose is? And how are you putting that into the world? How do you put that into the world and make sure that you're walking in that?
Mm-hmm. I think my purpose is just to be a soundboard and take in whatever is given to me and put it back into the world. You know, I want to make sure that women know that there's no such thing as a male-dominated industry. It just means the right woman hasn't popped in and made it fire. That's all. You know,
Don't you make me run around
I'm
this room today.
telling you, there is no limits to what we can do. And even I had to learn that. So I may not be an expert to say like, oh, we're going to go ahead and kill it. We're knocking down doors. Because I'm doing the long right there with you guys. But to know that no one can stop you. And I know that, and I understand that, and I feel that in my spirit. And maybe I can just tell somebody else that, hey, you got this. Keep it going. Knock down the doors. Break those barriers. That's my purpose. And that's what I'm here to do. Whether it's through my stories, through work, whatever I can, I'll find the avenues and I'll make it shake. But we're unstoppable. And once you realize that, then the world is your oyster.
Oh my God. Let me give it up one more time. For the incomparable Jasmine Jordan. And I do have a list of cards for you. I wanted to give you a gift because I just think the world needs to see, one, that's why I wanted you on the show, because I think the world really needs to understand how dope you are. You have that same drive and that passion and that greatness that your dad had, that your mom has, that your brothers have, and it's really dope to see it come through in a Black woman.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for being here and working for us again. And so I have a gift. I had an artist do a painting for you.
Oh, man.
And I wanted you to have it.
I absolutely love it.
So
Yes.
I wanted you to be able to really understand how much you matter, how much this moment
No, that
matters.
is beautiful.
And we love
Come
you
through,
so
ring.
much.
You see it. You see the ring? I love that.
So thank you so much for being
Thank
here.
you.
We love you so much. One more time for
Yes,
Jasmine
thank you
Jordan.
guys so much. Thank you.
Y'all been giving the game. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. And guys, let's grab a group photo before we go.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you guys.
Thank y'all.